tech questions for later.
Perfect. We're good.
Okay, so you got a piggle hook up front, military grade donut, piggle hook. 2-position jack, it's got spring loaded, it's got a foot for the extension. 28 link chain, so you cross them. A 7-pole connector, which brakes are included. The only thing that you don't have is reverse, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, there.
My watch.
Okay, so you got your junction box here for the wiring. Everything's in there. You got one, like we discussed, one lead left over for reverse. You can put reverse if you want.
And that's the only one without a wire on it, you mentioned that.
Got a wire, correct. Anytime you call us and you say that you need parts or something, you're going to. Here is an identification label. Here, this is your make,
okay,
your model, and then your serial number. Here, these, especially the last 4, I need.
Okay.
Juan. Juan.
Good.
La música, porfa. La música.
That's identifier. We know what we built and what we put on your machine. Yeah. So we had discussed about your fuel tank here, fuel cap, and then on the bottom is the drain, and the same with the hydraulic tank. You have a drain on the hydraulic tank. We're going to email you a PDF file for your daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly inspections. This could be under monthly. So you drain the water or condensation off once a month.
About a cap full, you said?
Cap full, yeah, water cap. Same with hydraulic fluid. On the engine, a C4.4 cat. Marine application. They have them on mostly boats, but there's a lot of forklifts running around with them. All the pumps are running around with them. You have your battery here, belt. Up top here is the radiator, and your cap is there up on top. Inspection port.
Okay.
Over here, you have your filters, secondary fuel, oil, and up here is your main air filter. And then up here is your hydraulic filter for the Schwing.
Okay.
And that's changed at 250 engine hours. The oil is a 10W30 Rotilla T4. This is made. This structure is for our climate, so keep that in mind when you go to a colder climate or a hotter climate. This is made for ours. So the antifreeze is a green 50/50, and you got Rotilla 10W30. And then the oil is an AW46.
Okay.
Oil, hydraulic fluid is not really considered around cold weather. If you're going to get below freezing, of course, you'll have to preheat a little bit. Then that's just lock and caution.
Yeah.
We'll go over that. So on the engine, running straight through, you have your flow control, your main drive pump, your accumulator pump, and your dual Barnes pump. Here. Once for the dual Barnes, you got agitator in the back, and then you got hydraulic. It runs through the cooler to the cleaner, which is your big filter, and then right back to the tank.
Okay.
At 32 liters in it. So we had discussed, you must run the engine all the way out, because if you don't, then you lose your cooling and cleaning capability. That's a hell of a UPS guy. He's stuck in that side. So you have 3 stops, emergency stops. You got your first one, your second one here by the water box, and then on the other side here in the panel, you got your third one. Use them, that's what they're for.
Yeah.
You find an emergency, hit them, and then once you press them, you just you twist them counterclockwise and they pop right back out.
Cool.
I don't see whether they're, hey, is that thing pushed? I always push it in.
Yeah.
No, it's not pushed. And then I unclick it.
Just manually, just make sure.
So you'll hear it. You hear the pump come online. You hear the fuel pump, and then if you press it, you don't hear the fuel pump.
Okay.
So it's a surefire way that you have something electrically going on.
Okay.
Now there is a 4th switch here in the hopper grate switch. So if the grate comes up for any reason, it won't turn the machine off. However, it'll stop the agitator and the pump forward circuit.
Good. There was a guy that passed away a couple months ago or a month ago, got a sweater stuck in it in the agitator.
Correct.
Yeah.
Horrible. I can't imagine.
That's why we have those stickers.
When I started with Schwing, we had 4 stickers. When I left them, we have 89 stickers.
Yeah.
Every sticker you see is ended in a fatality.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Contractual by law, you gotta have to get a sticker when you get sued. This one was this was a class action lawsuit here. So for whatever reason, the guy I don't know what it was, but it happened after the fact I got there. But I don't know, he's seen a rock for 20, 30 yards. I don't know. He just figured I'm gonna grab it, and when that thing
While stroking.
Yeah, it cut 3 of his fingers off.
Yeah.
They bandage him up. I get there. They put him in the ambulance, and he leaves. I take care of the pump. The hose is fucking. You lost him. I took care of the pump.
Yeah.
They call me and say he passed away. Remember they having this problem with the 6.0 on the Ford? The head bolt broke off the ambulance, and he bled out.
On the way.
On the way.
The ambulance was a 6.0, man.
Yeah. So it was Ford, Schwing, and the contractor was implicated into it.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a shitty day.
Yeah. Yeah. Just bad luck. And you run these machines all day, every day, and you're going to lose respect for it. Just by nature, you will.
Right.
Just be mindful that you always see 0 on both gauges before you do any work on the machine. It's real easy.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a plug. If you have a plug, 100 feet down line, and it's fine if you leave pressure on it and you find the plug, but before you remove the clamp, you need to come back
that bad boy out.
Yeah, take the pressure off.
Okay.
And make sure that you use verify 0.
Yeah.
Because the 500s are maybe a little forgiving, maybe a little. As you get up, to the 1000s, they're no forgiving. I mean, if you take a clamp off, especially on a 500, if it's close to like the first clamp, it'll be the last clamp you take off. Trust me, you will. They wrap the thing around your neck.
Yeah.
So he took a clamp off about 200 feet away, and it didn't end well. And we did it with a shovel about 10 feet away.
Right.
Bang!
Yeah.
It was on a machine that doesn't have a reverse, so
yeah.
you're just forced to take shit off. But it does happen. You lose respect for it. And
it was my last day on the job.
It just be mindful and always verify 0. Okay, I see 0. Boom, I can work on the machine.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will let it run and I'll do this. I'll do that.
You get sidetracked, and that's the important part right there. Because once you start breaking hoses apart,
there's no known cure. You call the CDC, and you want to monitor how you die. That's it. If you get hydraulic fluid under the skin, that's it.
You're unbuckling a 2.5-inch shotgun.
There's no known cure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The CDC will just, they'll call your wife. Well, how long have you lived? What happened to him? Can we talk to the doctor? They just want to know what happened to you. They don't care. So if you see a leak, turn the machine off, and then you'll put your hand over it because you're not going to stop it. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you see on the machine, if you see a little leak, something weeping, go ahead and tighten it up. I heard one discussing you about a closed and open loop. This is a closed system, so in short of you leaking, the oil would be never contaminated because it's always filtered itself. It's actually the cleanest it's ever going to be because it's filtering all day, every day, all by itself. The only way you can contaminate is you add new oil in it.
Yeah.
That contaminates.
Or get shit.
So if you see a little drip somewhere, tighten it up. Find out why it's leaking. Versus it's just I lose a gallon every 3 weeks. I'll just put a gallon in it.
Right.
Take care of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier
Hunt
than
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you because you get oil and then it runs across. You get go through
it's all over the roads. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite is how to clean that shit up.
Okay, so we got these stops. You got a simple gauge for the hydraulic fluid, and then you got a thermometer in the center. You got a low and a high.
Yeah.
Usually about in the middle, somewhere in the middle. That somewhere in the middle will be about 1 gallon. Usually.
Can you go that one more time? My apologies.
So you got a high and a low.
Okay.
Red. I usually wait till about I get into the middle, and then I fill it back up, and that's from the middle to the high part is about a gallon.
A gallon. Okay.
Yeah. I don't go. You don't want to go.
2 gallon volume inside. Just ballpark 2 gallon volume inside here, aside from everything else in the lines and in the cylinders and everything.
Correct.
Okay.
And then from there down, you have 50 gallons.
Okay. Just a quick question: Is this the real level inside of the tank right here?
Correct.
Okay, so this
glass,
this doing 2 purposes, right? This doing the temperature and the actual level of the hydraulic oil.
Correct.
It's safe to operate it like within this range, but not if you don't see any yellow stuff. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Because of the diffuser, you can see where the suction lines are coming out of.
You start getting below those ports.
Yeah. So that's how much it's sloshing around.
Yeah.
So anything over this, it'll expand from heat, just like cooking oil. It'll expand and come out your breather hole.
Okay.
So if you say you can put a bunch in and say, oh well, I fill it all the way up, it's going to come out eventually.
Okay.
Just blow out it by nature. On the bottom here, so on a difference between a Schwing and a Poots is mechanically or hydraulically, it's shifting over. So when that cylinder goes down, it knows where it is going down, and it cues the S-tube to switch over, or the rock valve.
Without proximity sensors, nothing like that, man.
Okay.
Correct. So you got 7 slaves running 1 master. So slave, 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 and then into the NPS, which is a collector, and then those ports signal the S1, S2, and S3, which is the brain of the operation.
If one of those things was to go, if you were to say one thing is a little bit more likely to go down, I mean, what would you focus on the most, or is it just, I mean, since it's a closed system, it's pretty foolproof.
Yeah, we'll kind of go over about where the middle is and where I split it, and then work your way back.
Okay.
Now, if it stopped, man, it could be. I guess it just I have myself. I had a set of protocols I work back to. I don't know how to answer that. I mean,
yeah.
It could be anything, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
what would be the protocol then? I mean, just 10,000 foot view. Where would you start? You know.
Okay, so all pumps run in a numerical or an equation. So let's give it an alphabet: A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D.
Okay.
If you lose C, it doesn't know what to do next, so it holds pressure and waits for the next command.
Okay.
It sees C, D, E, and then repeats itself. So that's what these water box shift valves and then the adders on the back, that's what they're doing. They're sensing when the cylinder's down, pushing it to the NPS manifold. The NPS mode is telling the brain what to do next.
Okay.
So it shift. A, B, C, D.
Okay.
So when you call me and say, Harold, I turn the light on, but nothing's moving. So I'm going to ask you first, do you see a light down there? No, I don't see a light. We'll go another way now. It's electrical, for sure. Why don't you have electrical power there? Or why don't you? You tell me, yes, I see a light. Okay, then we go back a step. Okay, so the lock and cock here, that loses a circuit. So that's the shift circuit. Say that's C. So A, B, C, I cock it. It doesn't know, it can't go to D now because you've sectioned it off.
Right.
I locked it down and I get full pressure. Okay, then I know the main drives. Okay, then we work back even farther.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're able to use those valves to isolate what has pressure and where in that equation, if you will, where it's at.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, the lock and cock you would probably use a little different. So as an operator, you would use it to shut it off so you can put one piston all the way back and watch it, and it can't go any farther. So you push that all the way back and you see it. You take the cup off, you put another cup on, and then flow back in there, put the bolts back on. So you use a little different. In a cold weather edition, you turn the engine to about 1200 RPMs, turn it off, and turn the pump forward on, and let it pressure up. You want about, I don't know, 150 bar, 200 bar, and just let that sit there, marinate for about 10, 15 minutes. Woo, she'll get red hot. Undo it, let it stroke a few times, let that hot oil circulate through the whole system. Boom, let's go, boys, I'm ready to pump.
Prime, yeah.
So you'd use a little different than I use it, but.
So that basically will that chokes down and regulates it so that it's able to maintain all.
Well, that's the circuit for the shift over.
Okay.
So if it doesn't get a cue from the shift over, it doesn't know what to do next.
Could you go over that cold weather? You said. If
I got to the job and it's 15 degrees, and I see the thermometer and it's at 50 or say 40 degrees, so it's too cold to pour. So I'll walk that over.
Close it up, yeah.
Rev it up to about 1500, maybe between 1100 and 1500 RPMs.
Okay.
Put the flow control on number 6 full turns.
Yeah.
And then put it on pump forward and let pressure out. It'll stop one time, and you'll see the pressure build up. I get about, I don't know, between 150, 175 bar.
Yeah.
And if I get more than that, I'll just turn the flow control down, and you'll see the pressure come down a little bit. And then I'll let it sit there for about, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. She'll get hot.
On that one cylinder.
On that one cylinder, she'll get red hot.
Okay. And then you idle it back down, obviously, and then switch that over, right?
Well, I'll turn the pump back off, right, and then I'll whop it back over till it's in line, so it flows again. I'll put it back and forward and let that hot oil recirculate through the system.
Hydraulic pump.
That's just an stop circuit. So
this guy right here.
Yep. Oh, so right now it's in pump forward. The only way I can turn it out of the pump circuit is turn it off.
Okay, got it.
And then reverse.
Got it.
Well, actually, that won't be the only way. You can also do this, but you're damaging the machine every time that you're doing this because it's putting a lot of stress. How do you call that thing? A lot of
Well, there's a rod in there that's pulling from. So when you put it forward, and you put it reverse, it slams the rod the other way. It could, in theory, get stuck.
Okay.
You could get stuck in reverse.
So that's why we have that switch. So always have something to stop it before we change the direction of the.
Okay, so before changing directions on these guys, you hit the stop just to relieve that pressure on that.
More prone to booms because they're bigger, but it will happen.
Okay.
It could happen too in a trailer. I've seen it happen before.
So always use this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't want that to happen.
So everything in the MPS manifold, which is a multi-port sensor, it has a couple of functions. The main one being how much sensing it needs to shift over.
Okay, that's this guy here.
Yes. And, I mean, it does a lot more than that, but for teaching purposes, that's its main hub. Is it how much? If I only need, it can draw from 200 bar. It can draw from it if it needs it. However, on a multi-port sensor, if it only needs 40, that's all it shifts at 40. It doesn't use all the 200. So you keep the shock down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, so you can override that
regulator
system.
comes in handy.
You can override that system here, the soft and hard stroke system.
Okay.
So in line like that is soft stroke. That's normal operating. If you whop it over, that's hard stroke, and it'll draw from 200. That's what it's going to shift over. So you'll see the machine really.
So that basically sets the regulator aside, if you will, and it gives you a true energy.
Well, it tells
wherever.
the regulator to turn off.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So it cancels that guy out, and then you're getting basically a direct drive from from RPMs to hydraulic. On
Correct.
That
Yeah. All 200 it shifts.
damaging. Yeah.
So now the reason why we left that on there is if you got into a sandy load and you've seen the rock valve really struggling to shift over, it's a real bony mix.
Just give it a little love.
Yeah, you can turn that over, get that truck out of there. You're going to keep in mind though, if you're trying to ram 10 pounds of rock or a 5-gallon bucket of rock down, it's going to go in your hose too. So be mindful.
Right.
If you try to force it down, of course it's going to get locked up somewhere else.
Right.
But if you just want to get that thing out of there, whop it over, and then it'll shift back and forth, it'll dump it.
Is that the only, sorry to cut you off, is that the only time, most likely time that you would utilize that override there?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's a downside to that. Okay, so as that piston is slamming down, there's a cushion in there, a hydraulic cushion that the head of that piston hits before it slams it shut. When you turn it off, it takes that cushion away. So it slams, boom, boom. You'll really see the machine start rocking. There's a downside. If you forgot about it and left it off, not today, not tomorrow, maybe not in a year, but it'll eventually blow the end caps off. Here, the welded caps off.
Yeah.
If you blow them off, that'll kill your job. And that's it. It'll
Yeah.
dump the whole tank in about 30 seconds.
Not to mention the pickup.
Yeah. So there's a downfall to the system.
Yeah.
If the system has malfunction, you need to call me, and we need to figure out why it's malfunction.
Sure.
Because it needs to be on there.
Okay.
That's a retrofit for years. I say about 4 years, maybe 5 years. Schwing didn't have soft stroke, and we let them go out there. And then about 4 years later, we started hearing complaints, and it was always end caps. Always.
Yeah.
We must have gave a million of them things away to compensate for it.
Yeah.
And then we came out. We actually came out with a remote access that remotely put these on there, and we must have gave a million of them away just to shut people customers up because they kept blowing the end caps off, blowing them off. So now we're incorporating every pump that has them
Yeah,
now.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So the lock and cock, the soft stroke, the MPS, and the brain.
How many bars is you guy usually running at a normal operating?
So the pressure cutoff on the main drive pump is about 265.
265, where that red line is.
Yes.
Okay.
That's your main cutoff. You can pump up to about 220, and then she's going to pressure out at some point. So you need to do something different. Either turn it down or add a little bit more water to the concrete, and that'll lower your pressure.
Okay.
But that's what you can draw from. Normal operating is, usually with 200 foot of line on, running at a 7-inch slump, with pretty good fly ash and pretty good Portland, you should be, I don't know, in the 120s.
Okay.
150s range, somewhere
So
around
sub
there.
200 comfortably should be right around there with your average mix then. We got two different bar gauges here. Is that I'm
Right,
just
so-
curious what the differentiation is between those.
So you got your accumulator, which is stored energy, and that's how much it's going to shift from.
Okay.
And that's so if you run that, it's always going to stay at one pressure. always going to stay there. This is your main pressure. Now this is on the head of the piston. So that's not 50 foot or 1,000 feet downstream. That's how much the concrete effort is taking to push that concrete through the cylinder out the end.
Yeah.
So that's where your true tail is. If you
wheel horsepower, if you will.
right, if you bust a line loose, you know, at the ass end, you know, the first clamp, you might have the 200 bar there. But if you go, you know, 200 feet or 300 feet downstream, you bust it, you might only have 900 psi there. So it just depends on, but that's a true statement of what's on the, it's taken for the concrete to be pushed out the cylinder. That's not restriction or reducers or.
This is the guy to look back when I'm needing to break a line.
Correct.
And
Correct.
come back, and I'm looking for 0 on that one.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, so the top pressure is always the accumulator, and that's stored energy.
Okay.
On your monthly, one's going to send you. So I'll go over the system with you. So you're going to see this fall, and then it's going to snap off. Where it snaps is your pre-tension pressure. See where it snapped off? About 90.
About 75.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sorry.
So I can build cheap power with a small pump hooked to a nitrogen gas that's at 100 bar. So the pump does 100, the nitrogen gas has 100 pre-charge in it. If I put the two together, I can build 200 cheap. There's a downfall. If the gas should go away, the pump will try to do the 200 because that's all it can do. Well, you overheat the pump and burn it out. So this is under your monthly inspection. You're gonna see how much your pre-tension gas is. It's like a car tire. You use it every day, you should always be at 75, 90.
Where's the adjustment for that guy?
No adjustment. There's a bag in there that we replace.
Okay, got
if you see it start going down once a month, and then next month you go and it's at 30 or 20, you need to call us and find out why. We'll send you a bag and you would replace this. We can't send it to you because this is what brought down the Pan Am jet, but here there's a bag in there. You take that apart and
inside that tank.
It's a stealthy little guy, isn't it? It's inside the fitting?
No. The tank is.
Oh, okay.
See the whole tank?
Gotcha.
Can you show us the charging port? The charging port, and where can he recharge that thing?
So it's a Schrader valve, but it's an AC confinement. So there's a cap, and then there's a special plug you put on it. I'll get you the gauge if I take it all apart. So it's in. This is the kit you would take to charge it back up.
Okay.
And that's the fitting you put on there.
Nice.
So
I need to get one of those then, right?
not necessarily. You can get an AC shop to charge it for you, and they usually run about 50 or 100 bucks.
Okay.
If not, you can buy one. I think we got a kit for probably under 500 bucks. I think you get a starter kit for 500.
Okay.
But again, if you keep it running, man, I mean,
yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have any problem with it. I mean, probably, you know, in short of a piece of metal getting flaked off and then it cut in the bag or something like that, I mean, you shouldn't have any problems. Usually, in about 10 years, a Schrader valve will probably blow off there at some point, you know.
Got a bit of life on it still.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So unfortunately, we can't sell them full to you because that's what brought down that Pan Am jet in the 90s.
Sure.
They had about 600 of those in the belly, and they depressurized and blew the bottom of it off.
Jeez.
So can't sell them. It's considered a bomb now. You can't.
Yeah.
That's, if you can believe that, that's the most dangerous part of the system. Is the nitrogen.
It's good. It's right on the inside of the frame. Then.
If you look at that bottle, you'll see it's pretty small inside. It's big, but it's about this small inside. All that steel.
A little pipe bomb.
Yeah, all of it's
pretty
steel.
much. Yeah.
Keep that pressure in. So we went over your E-stops, S1, S2. We got the light system. Leading back here in the agitator, you'll see that it does have another light here for the E-plus valve.
Okay.
And the
it's a
reason,
nice visual indicator for both of those. Yeah.
So we had to put that on there. So when you hit the E-stop, it turns that circuit off, so to stop your agitator. Without that, it's just running in a manual setting. I always let it run forward, turning into the cylinder. You can, if you look in there.
So if the top coming back, it's feeding into the cylinder.
Yeah, correct. You see them; they're not that big.
Right.
Now, in a 8 or 9 inch slump configuration, no, they're really useless. They really are.
Right.
As you get tight, if you're doing curb mix first or whatever,
Right.
before if you're doing a house, do the curbs first, and you come in for the wet stuff. If you had to wait for 10 or 15 minutes, you can use it. If you had to wait, 20 minutes, you can kind of use it back and forth, back and
Or on
forth.
like a mono slab for like a foundation or whatever. If you're doing the footings first.
Yeah.
Footings
yeah.
first, and then you come back and do your walls.
It will mix up some heavy stuff, but other than that, they don't really do that well.
Right.
I mean, you can see them; they're pretty small.
Sure.
So they're mostly designed for something went in there, it break something big up.
Double balls.
Exactly. So I usually just run it forward, and then I just turn it off and on here. That's it.
You always keep this guy running. Always keep that guy running while
Always
you're
running. Yeah.
Okay.
Always running. So the lines reading to the manifold. Because of the Barnes pump, and remember I told you these were internally regulated. Well, the Barnes pump is just a gear pump, so you need a regulator. So that's what that screw is here at the bottom. It's a
Okay,
regulator.
got it.
So there'd actually be 2 of them if you had hydraulic feet.
And then adjust your speed on that.
Correct.
That guy. Okay.
Correct. Right now,
No
they're
need to really tamper with that.
no,
though.
they're set at 200. Trust me, it'll pull you in.
Yeah.
There won't be, you won't get away from it. Trust me. The only time you'd set it up a little higher is if you had hydraulic feet to raise the machine up. But
Yeah.
other than that, no. And you're perfect. Work that. Hopper safety switch, we had discussed, you lift that up. Downside is, if you had a 3-inch slump and you back it up, put it reverse, it would lift the grate up because the mud's tight.
Yeah.
And it lifted up.
Yeah.
The machine would cut off. Oh shit, what happened? It just turned off.
Yeah.
You can, go ahead and put it in pump forward and watch what it does. Light goes right back off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the e-stop is prepped.
Yeah.
And the light doesn't stay on.
Yep.
Well, I like that.
That's an indicator. So, upper safety switch. Your drain here for the low part of the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just take the plug out, and then you've got a cord turn valve here. Switch over.
That's every watt. Every watt here has to get rid
Once
of the
a
water
month.
once a month. After 24 hours of the machine being flat and not used.
Just cold, yeah,
Okay.
flat. Yeah, you do this. Same with the fuel, cold and flat. Now, on a concrete pump, greasing is the main thing.
Yeah.
By far, the most important thing, greasing. So on these fittings here, you grease after every 50 yards and at the end of the job.
Okay. All
At
3
the
of
end.
them.
Well,
How many pumps are you looking like? 10 pumps probably.
I just hear it till I hear it crack,
Okay.
and then I'm done. And that way, as your hopper is holding grout and concrete all day long, it's starting to work through.
Yeah.
At the end of the job, you're pushing it back into the hopper, so it doesn't get hard. If you wait till you get to the shop and then do it, it's too late.
So you're listening to wait for it to basically come out of that bearing or joint or whatnot. Wait, listen for those little air bubbles to push out. once it fills
So
up.
just like an engine,
Yeah.
the oil is the bearing, the grease is your bearing. So it's just a sacrificial brass ring through a steel hub, and there's a rubber boot with a O-ring up to it. That's it.
Is there a channel in it for the grease, or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
But the grease is your bearing, actually.
Yeah.
So you have 3 here. You have 1 here for the motor side.
Okay.
Front input side of the shaft here,
Okay.
and then your dummy side here.
Okay.
There is 2 more, but that'll be on your weekly inspections
Okay.
because they don't move far. They
And
move.
this, so you
half a
got one
mile.
on the front bearing here. Is there one on the back bearing?
Those 3 run to the back.
Okay, got it. Perfect. I'm gonna lean into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Just use the access port.
I like that.
This will be the back side, right?
Correct.
3 back, 3 front.
Right.
Where-
And then in your weekly, the 2 for your switchover.
Yeah.
And then your monthly would be in your tires.
Okay.
There's bearing actually in there. The bearing.
Yeah.
But they hold a little bit of grease for your convenience, right?
Yes. And you should get, with those bearing buddies, you should get 75,000 miles.
Okay.
You should.
I assume you guys already put a couple shots in those.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, everything's brand new. Brakes,
Yeah.
bearings.
I was just double checking because it's gonna get pulled to Oregon tomorrow.
So
If you were to mount a vibrator on here, where would you mount it? Center, left, right?
you can. There's a few places. You can put a plate here
Yeah.
and mount on the grate.
That's where I was thinking about putting it.
You can drill 4 holes and put it here. Here, we've already pre-wired it for you. So here's your vibrator switch,
Okay.
and then here's your vibrator line. Down meaning manual, it's going to come on and stay on all the time, even when you stop. Or you go up and it only comes on and forward. When you turn the machine off, the vibrator turns off too.
Really?
So that's what that indicator. So it's already pre-wired.
Do you recommend having that running while you're going, just like while you're pumping, just like your agitator, or is it really just for cleanup and in between loads that you're tapping into that feature?
The vibrator sometimes can get you in trouble. If you forget about the vibrator and you walk off from it for 2 or 3 minutes, it'll vibrate all the rock to the bottom, and in the first stroke, all that rock's going into your hose and plugging you up. So it gets you in trouble. So if you put
That's
it on,
why it has that option.
Yeah. If you just put it on forward only, then it only vibrates forward as you're pumping forward. Turn the machine off, of course it turns off. Honestly, the only reason I would get a vibrator is probably if I did shotcrete. Other than that, I wouldn't have the vibrator.
Really?
I wouldn't waste my money. I'd spend my money on a remote system. That's what you want. I mean, because that gives you the ability to walk away from it for 50 feet and
Right.
forward and reverse remotely.
Absolutely.
That's nice. So the $1,000 you pay for another $300 or $400 on top of that, you get a remote system.
Yeah, absolutely.
The vibrator.
I just wanted to get the Panther 2 or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the Panther.
So I would probably invest my money more in that direction versus. Now, if I was going to do a lot of shotcrete, then of course, yeah, you're going to have it. I mean, unless you're going to pay a guy to sit out there and
Yeah.
keep it going through the grade.
I've heard just by like 1 or 2 people that it's, and I only mentioned like one time that it's helpful in cleanup, but then that's just, it doesn't matter at that point because you're in there with a hose anyways, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know about where the concrete sticks, and I know about how long. Like I said, I'm always washing up. If I'm waiting, I wash up. It's too easy for me to wash up.
Yeah.
Too easy. If I'm waiting 30 minutes, I wash up. Like I said, I can wash up in 10 minutes, real good. So there's usually no concrete sticking for me.
Yeah.
And now if I did, if I'm out there doing 100 yards, then you're right. I'll put sand at the bottom. I'll put grease in the traps here.
It seems some people use, a lot of people use diesel spray all over their machine, and then
Correct.
I've seen a lot of people use canola oil. Have you heard of that?
That's
Form
an
oil's-
expensive solution.
Yeah.
Form oil is the most appropriate
Yeah.
because it's biodegradable.
Okay.
So you go down to your hardware store, even Home Depot sells it. You can get it online a little bit cheaper,
Yeah.
but just get form oil, mix it with water. You just got to tell the driver, listen, don't touch my machine.
Yeah.
If it spills over, let it spill over. Don't wash it
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Because form oil
Or you're
does
gonna
wash
be
off.
wearing it.
Yeah. Form oil washes off.
Okay.
Whereas diesel and hydraulic fluid together is a little bit better, but it hurts the environment, and then you got to
Yeah.
try to get the shit off.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll look good when you leave the job, but if he's on a dirt road, it'll look like shit by the time you get to your house.
Right. The first gentleman who pumped for us, he would mix diesel and motor oil, mix that into a spray can,
Yeah,
and
that's not really.
yeah.
I mean, not so much for you and me; it's for your kid.
Right,
I mean, he can have
absolutely.
shit. I remember when I first started, everybody was probably out with oil. That's how they did it. You put you had an oil bucket. It's called potter's oil. It was like it was refined water. It was like bromite. I mean, a lot of shit was mixed in it.
Yeah.
And Schwing used to have a slide or a gate system, and you had pots here that you'd have to grease or oil all day long. So we take that oil and put on a sponge, put all over put on a sponge, and then put it in there, and that's how you prime out. That thing would pop out, and I mean, a quart of oil contaminates 100,000 gallons.
I know there's like so many products now with like Slick Pack. You've got Bentonite is a really popular one, and you've got
Bentonite,
the Type S.
Bentonite is the mining oil, right?
What would you?
Slick packs is too easy. When I was in the game, they were $14, $15. I bought them at $7, so I charged the customer $14, $15. Hey, what's this $15? Hey, I didn't plug, did I? You didn't? No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Pay it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
nice and easy. So
We
I
weren't
just
standing around
Beating out hoses.
swinging hammers on hoses the whole
Yeah.
time. We are
boom, we popped
off
out.
the races.
So I charge the customer.
Yeah.
So if I came in at
It's a cost of efficiency.
say he wanted 250 feet and it was 10 yards, I charge him like you said, the $400 minimal. I charge Nick the $50 for the foot, for the yardage. I mean, for the footage on over 200 feet, and then I charge him $15 for the slip back.
Yeah. So you prefer Slick Pack then? It's too easy and inconvenient now that it's in one little package to. Then okay.
So you just kind of read Slick Pack. It'll work against you if you don't let it gel.
Yeah.
So it'll actually suck the concrete out. So you gotta. When I first get to the job, that's one of the first thing I do is I get my water hose out and I mix Slick Pack up. Let it sit in there for an hour. The longer you let it sit, the better it gets.
Yeah.
And then I put my hose out and then hook together, and then when I see the truck, pour it in. Let's go.
Yeah.
Stick
you don't
pack
want that to go back into the cylinders, right? So you're.
No, I suck it down.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm white. I'm lazy. Shit, I put about 2 or 3 gallons of head water in there and put the slick pack in there. I'll unscrew the flow control all the way out so it's at 10% or at 100%. I'll turn the machine on for about 2 strokes and let it get down there, about 25, 50 feet in the hose, and I stop it.
Yeah.
I'll turn the machine back down and I'll put it right on top of it.
Okay.
But then now it's pushing.
Yeah. You don't want it to get too far ahead though, right? Of it. So you want it to, and the speed too. You don't want to be going too fast, because then what does your concrete hop over the top of your prime, or?
Right. So if you primed out at 100%, you're right. The concrete would go over the slick pack and plug you up.
Okay.
So you're going to shake it out, and you're going to see sand, rock, and then the slick pack come out. And like, shit, I went too fast. If you go too slow, it'll half moon all the way through there, and you're going to plug that way too, because you go too slow. It didn't really swirl, you know what I mean? So you do a nice steady speed. So each machine's going to be different.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to find out where your sweet spot is.
And that's where the art of it is, because you're priming uphill, you're priming downhill, all that fun stuff. So you're figuring out.
Downhill's a little bit easier because you can put plastic back there every time. And
maintaining pressure.
Yeah. So that's a little bit easier. Uphill,
You just throw a single plastic bag over each clamp on your way downhill, and then it primes up every. Okay.
And just gonna pop them as it gets pressure. Bam,
That's a
bam,
cool
bam.
trick.
Or I see a lot of guys put their clamp sponge in there, about 20 feet in there. Put one in there, his first clamp, and then 25 feet put a sponge in there, put a clamp on, and that way the slip pack is pushing the ball through.
Okay.
So the water can never leave the concrete.
Yeah.
So that's a good practice. Going downhill, uphill, like you said, it's all over.
Yeah.
You'll kind of figure out, okay, put the slick pack in, because you always want to do it one way, so you take some narratives out of it.
Right.
So you always put the slick pack in one way. You don't deviate from that. And then you'll put 5 full turns out, and then you'll see, go 200 feet. Oh fuck, I plugged it at 150. Okay, let me go faster next time. Maybe I'll do 5.5.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I went less feet. Okay, then I'll back it off. I'll do 4.5.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of.
And that's what I was going to ask you too. The volume of these cylinders. For every 100 feet, how many strokes you're probably looking at? Like, or you said 200 feet gets you probably 5 strokes, something like that. 5-6 strokes.
And you're talking stuff I used to know 15 years ago.
You just kind of probably have to just get the feel of it, huh? Just walk it
I
out.
want to say.
Count as I'm walking back.
I think you are right. I think it's 10 strokes for 200 feet. I think it was.
8 to 10, something like that.
I think so.
No,
a lot of technology I don't remember anymore.
It's all good.
Yeah.
And the volume of those cylinders varies as well from model to model. So it's not going to be exact. It's just pretty much you have to find the feel of your machine and walk it out and count as you're pacing it out, right?
Yeah. You could. As you're priming out, you're watching the hoses and you're seeing where they're. Pretty much in the first 6 months you'll know where it plugs even before you step on it. You'll know it. I only got 170 feet.
Yeah.
Out there. Yeah, right there. You kind of judge the distance. How many.
If there's no movement in the lines whatsoever and it's just then it's in the reducer. Right? Okay.
Right. And if you go there and you step on the first one, you know it's in there. So you got a couple choices. You can reverse, let that chew up a little bit, and put it in there for about 6 or 7 good strokes, and then put it back forward and see how far you're gonna make it.
Okay.
If it's still man, you got something in there.
Yeah.
A piece of washer or something steel in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not chewing it up.
Okay. Most likely spots to clog is probably the reducers, right? And beginning of loads, because they're going to be a little bit rockier.
Yeah. On our application here, especially if you get a truck with bad fins, it'll be at the end of the load.
Okay.
All the rock will come out last.
Yeah.
So then you're thinking it's at the beginning of the load, but it was at the end of the other guy that actually plugged you up.
Got it.
So
biggest size aggregate you push through 2.5, 3 inch line, 3/4.
3 inch, they say 3/4, but man, you're gonna fight that shit. You're gonna fight it. It will go through, but you're gonna fight it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a little bit of workout. We have done 3 inch a few times with 3/4 up blend, and we had some mild success. It will go through eventually, but man, you gotta work for that shit.
Really just looking at small aggregate, pea gravel, and pump.
And then if you're going to 3/4 or an inch, I would go to 4 inch. I wouldn't go 3 inch.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do steel line and then 4 inch.
The BPA that pumps for us, that guy pumps 3/4 minus through a 2.5. He does it.
It ain't 3/4 then. It can't be.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah. And they just switched over to crushed sand as well over there. They're having to manufacture their own sand, so it's all sharp. And he's just having a hell of a time just keeping up with that. So He
doesn't roll like
told
ball
me, and he said that he's telling all his other customers, just like, they're going 3/8 aggregate all day long. I'm not doing any more 3/4 minus because I'm not set up for that.
Yeah, it's got to roll like ball bearings. Yeah, got to roll. Here we have sharp limestone too, so that's the reason why you get a, you get 3/4 together.
Oh yeah.
The diameter isn't there. So, like I said, you can get it going through there, but you gotta fight your ass off to get it going through.
Absolutely.
I say out of 50 yards, you'll probably plug 3 times. I mean, that's usually what you did, plug 3.
Yeah.
So, and then it's usually always at the second hose, always. But
Really?
you shook it out, or a lot of times we would turn them around and plug them back together and blow the plug out.
Okay.
But if I went to an 1.5 or, 3/4 or a 1 inch, that would always be 4 inch.
Okay.
You won't have no problem then.
Yeah.
There's no resistance then. Because you're going through pipe and then.
You're just killing your body.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You just need another person, right?
After a
Two
while,
people.
you got a little system. I mean,
Yeah.
you could actually put pipe together by
Technique.
yourself. Yeah, after a while. So, I'm just used to doing with pipe.
Sure.
My main, when I got hired with Schwing, was doing placing booms. That's all we did was placing booms. So it's all pipe. So you contracted, you called Schwing and said, listen, I want to go up 50 floors. We'd make you a jacker, self-jacker, and then a placing boom, and then a stationary pump. They'd send me out there, and I'd stay with you for a week. So I'd train you up, boom, boom, boom. I go to the next guy. So that was my first endeavor. But then I moved elsewhere.
Yeah.
When you are good at something, you kind of get pigeonholed, like everywhere else. So if
Right.
you're good at fixing, that's what you do, fix.
Yeah.
My area was from Florida to New York. I stayed on a suitcase.
Yeah.
For 10, 15 years. My kids went to 10 different schools.
Yeah.
That sucks.
A little bit of hopping around, yeah.
My last one, my wife just went home. She goes, your family lives in Florida. If you want to continue to have a family, you'll come back. So in 09, 10, when it got slow, I just retired me. I'm done.
Yeah.
So
Pretty sweet gig here, though.
yeah, good part-time job. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the grounds of maintenance here, 'cause I'm probably gonna be doing a lot of like just the initial, like the stuff that's not gonna be take the whole freaking thing apart. I've got a gentleman in Northern California, probably like 6 hours away from where I'm at, and we'll be doing a lot of the in-depth stuff. But if you're like to a new pump owner, looking at the back end of this thing, how far would you recommend somebody going into that? You know what I mean? Before, or does it just depend on the person, or?
If you grease, if you grease good,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have a problem with it's going to go on yardage, of course, but a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
You shouldn't have any problems if you grease them efficiently. Then you're going to wear out your cutting ring and your sacrificial stuff.
Okay.
So in the front of that rock valve is a cutting ring.
Yeah.
And there's a compression seal behind it, and there's a rubber compression or kidney seal behind the big part.
Okay.
So that rock valve you can see is floating in rubber right now. Mm-hmm. So you never want to really stroke them dry. So always have some water or sand or a little bit of concrete in there before you stroke. Now when you're washing out, you always got water and you're washing out, so that's acceptable. But I've seen a lot of guys, show up, machine hasn't seen water in a month. Yeah, oh hell, they're tearing some shit up. So your sacrificial cutting ring, compression seal, kidney seal, and then in the back you see that big kidney plate there?
Yeah.
A mirror plate. So that's sacrificial. So
Okay.
you'll be taking that stuff off in about a year and a half.
Okay, and that's from the tail end.
Yeah. So
back, right?
I take the hopper off, take your wires off. There's going to be 3 wires in there.
Okay.
You got 1 power and then 2 leads. Take that off, put it to the side, and then I take the 8 bolts off, and then 2 guys, you can lift it, put it on the ground. Take your remaining bolts off here on your faceplate.
So these guys don't come off here; just the faceplate does, right?
Just a faceplate.
Okay.
Now this is originally, if you're just, I'm giving you on a cutting ring application only.
Yeah.
A mirror plate would be a little different. So in a cutting ring, I would just take these bolts off, take your lead bolt off, and then this will unscrew. You unscrew that, and this, 2 guys, you walk it back and put it on the ground. You slide the S tube back, the rock valve back a little bit, and then that cutting ring will come right out.
Okay. Probably best practice to do both at the same time, right? Because you already have the whole thing apart. Kind of like doing a rear main seal. You want to replace your clutch at the same time, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So if you're going to do both of them, then I would take these 4 off. Drop this plate off, because there's 4 bolts under here to hold that mirror plate on.
Okay. Is it a bitch to get a line back up, or is
Nope,
it pretty? Okay.
It only goes on one way. Everything goes on one way.
Okay.
And there's when you take them off, you'll see there's guide pins that actually hold it.
Okay.
So that you can't go on different. And that's it. And I put the hopper back on, put your wires back on, so keep going.
Awesome.
And so, you know, like a bike, once you do it once, you're like, okay, I
Start build the system.
Yeah, I see. Now they do make a cold weather kit in your application. You can buy it. It's a little expensive, but and that same valve that you see down here would go here on your agitator. So you put that lock and cock here, and you choke it down, turn the agitator on, and let the machine idle, and it would build heat that way.
One of these valves.
Yeah, the lock and cock.
Yeah.
You can do that cold weather kit. I mean, those valves are about $300-400. So you can do that too if you didn't really want to go under there and turn that off.
Just in line.
You can put it in here too.
Yeah.
So it's up to you.
Is it like number 3? 3/8? Half inch.
So
Some.
these are German metric.
Okay.
So they're 12 valves.
It's all German metric.
German metric. Yeah. There's no JSE on these at all. All German metric.
Okay.
Now, when you get to a Schwing or a Reed, then there is a mixture of JSE on there.
Spare parts that you'd recommend having on the
Truck.
As a just in case for the truck and for the shop, because I don't want to be eating a $2,000 truck of concrete. You know what I mean?
So,
if it's just something.
the
you know.
Schwing's designed to get you out of a pinch. And short of the engine stopping. Now, the engine stops, you're kind of dead there. But
Right.
in theory, if I lost all electric, manually, I can choke it. I push the lever over.
Left and right.
Left and right.
Okay.
Look, coming up to you is forward, pushing away is reverse. The same with these. You can actually push them in and it'll do the same effect. And then you have that same bellows at the end. If you go on the other side.
Yeah. No, I see it.
You see right here in the center?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can push that in and you can get the hydraulic system to come online for the agitator. So you can get yourself out of a pinch.
Okay.
In theory.
Manually.
You have to have somebody back here though, right?
Yeah, if you don't want to.
Walkie-talkie probably
yeah.
be good.
Yeah. Or you
under the seat
you
thing
tie a
then?
string around it and go and haul ass and
Yeah.
get away and come back and pull the string out. Yeah. Or have the driver with a long string. All right, pull me, come on.
Pull me.
So rocking back and forth right here.
Yes.
And that's
Cylinders.
That's to
Cylinder.
move your cylinders back and forth. And since we're in forward, since we're
No, forget about that. That's
okay,
not
so,
working.
So that's not working.
Mm-hmm. You'll do one side, keeping this one to the left, for
And
example.
they both work together, correct?
Yes.
And it'll start pumping forward.
But it will stop once that trouble is done, right?
The stroke.
The stroke is done. You're gonna have to move to the back, switch the Brock valve, and then move it to the other side.
Okay.
To just
And so switching this rock valve manually, where are we at with that?
Right
you
here.
guys have already probably.
No, that's a pooch. Schwing, it's all manual, so. Like I said, you don't have a proximity switch telling the MPS is telling the brain what to do.
Man, that's way better than Platzmeister.
So when you flip that over, it's always in a forward.
I saw you doing a video on a Putzmeister on YouTube, and you had to
We got to be an octopus.
had to hit one, stroke it, and then hit another one right next to it, switch it over, and then hit the other one, stroke it, and then
There's actually a kit they make for that. It's called a bypass kit. I don't know if I.
Oh, really?
Still got
So they
one.
know you're gonna be
So
in trouble.
it comes with about 6 leads, and you hook it to a battery.
Yeah.
It's pretty goddamn complicated.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet. So
Yes.
literally just in order to get that guy going smoothly, I mean, I would literally just need a little walkie-talkie. Just have someone on the machine and
Hold it,
and go from there.
Yep.
Tie a string to it and just pull it.
I like it.
Okay, so that's in short of the engine stopping. So if the engine does stop, however, then you're looking at a belt, and then there's a electric fuel pump in there, or something electrically won't turn the machine on.
How are you gonna wash out the concrete inside of those cylinders if your engine is not working?
So, it's not a real good idea, but it'll get you out of a pinch. A lot of guys will put it forward and then crank it with a starter, and enough hydraulic fluid will actually move the S tube over. If not, you do the old-fashioned way and bust the hopper loose, and then take a cylinder off.
Time is of the essence.
And move it to the side, yeah, and then you get the other cylinder out. You know, if all else fails.
Shit.
So a couple different ways.
Yeah. Take it loose.
Trust me, I've done it. I've done it a couple of
This
times.
guy loose. It's okay.
Well, we leave the backside loose because this is prone. The driver will actually hook it with a chute and try to pull the hopper off. So we leave them loose so they kind of
Gotcha.
keep them from ripping all the way off. Because they'll shear all the bolts off if you let it. This right here is for if you want to take the grate off or grate up.
Hook it on there?
Yeah, you can lock it.
Nice.
You can get in there. So it just moves around. You just put it to the backside. So you don't get too much concrete on it.
Cool.
So.
Any maintenance with this guy down here? The seal on this is just a basic wedge seal, right?
Just a piece of rubber in there. So keeping them clean, the plate is the utmost important.
So give it a good feel before smacking it over, just in case there's a rock on it or something, right?
Let me take it out for you. So you can see what's in there.
So we got a 5-inch coming out the back, right?
What's that?
5-inch coming out the back.
Yeah. You see where we put grease on it now.
Yeah.
So the cleaning of that's the most important because that's where you see that rubber seal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect.
Yep.
No greasing or anything on the bottom of that. Just make sure that rubber seal is nice and clean. Just put a hand around it once it's clean.
Yep. And then just make sure this plate's
so
nice
you're
and
not
clean.
smashing a rock into it.
Yeah. That's it.
Perfect.
All right. Are we up for the fun part or no?
What's that?
Pressure test.
How are you going to get it out there?
Let me think. Thank you, Harold.
That's a beautiful
on a 3,000 mix with about a 7-inch plug. Those numbers are right.
We do a lot of 6-sack mix, 4,000 PSI 6-sack mix. So does that change very much, or I mean, it just means it's more Portland cement in it, right? Yeah. A little bit more sand in it, which is going to help. It's going to help with keeping everything going smooth, right?
So 4,000 is a room.
Pushback from our pump operators on how wet it is. You know, once you start getting down below like 5, you know, it really starts getting like it starts turning into a hustle at that point.
Yeah.
Then your wait times are like, you know, if you have to wait for another truck, then that just takes off like a rocket. It has nothing to sit with.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta watch out immediately. Right. So usually if they're doing curve right off the bat, you get one truck, and I usually fuck around for about 10 minutes. And let the second truck almost get here. If he's in the neighborhood, it's cool, let's go. Okay. I'll pump them out, and then you got the second truck back up to you, and then you wet them down to 6, 7, wherever they want. Get that nice and out. So you lose about between 150 and 200 feet of hose, and you're gonna lose 1 inch. So if you put it in a 5, it's gonna come out of 4. That's how much, because
I have heard that before. Yeah.
The pump's gonna force the water in the rock.
Okay.
So now if the ready-mix plant doesn't actually put in too much water on, you'll figure that out real quick. You're putting in 6 and it'll come out of 3. Well, fuck, we didn't put no water on. That's all right. I'm not gonna go anywhere than that.
As far as the relationship between RPMs and slump for climbing out, is it better for like higher RPMs if you're in a lower slump, or do you just kind of want to ease into it, or is it pretty uniform as far as, you know, where you're at on pressure? You know what I mean?
You see, it equates about a stroke every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So I keep it about 2 strokes a second. I'm sorry.
A stroke every 2 seconds?
A stroke every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That equates, if it's a 2-inch or a 3-inch slump, I'll do the same. I'll prime out the same. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me as far as that regard.
Yeah.
However, after it pops out the end, you're going to see it start wiggling the guy back. I might turn it down a little bit. So always prime out the same. You want to swirl it as it goes through. You don't want a half moon, or you don't want to jump it over. So I always prime out the same way.
Okay.
So now if it's too strong after it pops out, he's looking at you, then I'll turn it back once I see it pop out. But I'm not going to stop it. You know, when the guy tells me, all right, let's go, and you turn it on, he goes, no, hold on. No, it's coming out the end.
Yeah.
You better put it somewhere then.
Yeah.
Because I don't stop. That'll plug you up bigger than
this
shit.
thing doesn't have any brakes. It needs to, material needs to be in there.
Because what's going to happen is when you stop, it'll flat moon, and then now when you start up, all that concrete or all that moisture has went to the bottom. There's nothing at the top.
Yeah.
You plug. As soon as you start up, you're going to plug.
Yeah. And then you're wrestling it all the way out.
I don't stop. You listen. You tell me turn it on. You better find a hole. You know.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times here, especially bromite, slick pack a little different. I mean, they do let some slick pack into the load. It depends. If you're doing footers and stuff like that, you can blow the slick pack in the footer and then pile on top of that. On the foremost, if you're doing a slab, I'll be kind to them and put the slick pack out for a little bit and then bring it in.
Just like bentonite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's nice about slick pack is if you got a really rocky load, you can take a bag of slick pack and throw it into the mixer and let them chew on that for about 5 minutes. Oh, it'll pump good then.
Really?
Yeah, it'll pump really good. Yeah.
Throw a single pack in there for a 10-yard truck?
That was slick pack 2 and 3. That's what it was made for concrete itself.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really nice. There's no polyheat in it at all. Now one did. It had a retarder in it.
So it's safe to Okay, so on the topic of retarders, I've seen retardant packets that you can put in your hopper as well if you know that you're waiting on the. Have you heard anything about that?
You can, but then that gets in a gray area. Now you got to dump that somewhere out on the ground, and then you got a big fucking pile. So.
Or the finishers are stuck with a freaking 7 spot in the middle of their 4 or 5. Yeah, and it's a pain in the ass.
So what I do is it's too easy to wash up. Especially if you got 250 gallons, I know I can wash up twice with it. I'll wash up real quick one time.
Yeah.
You'll use maybe 75 gallons to wash up real quick, and then because you got 250 gallons to draw from, I'll wash up real quick, wait for my next truck, and then let's go.
Yeah. Did you usually fill up your water at your house, or did you fill up? I mean, you said you had city.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, it depends. If it's in the middle of the subdivision and some of the houses there don't have water, yeah, I'll stop at the subdivision. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let them drop the dime. I like I said,
Or else your water bill is like.
man, I honestly I never use that fucking water meter. I pay my $45 or whatever a month, and
Yeah.
I hardly ever use that thing. But it was a nice idea. If I ever, it was nice to have that you can hook to a fire hydrant or something like
Right.
that and go.
That's quick work. Yeah.
But man, I've been doing that for years.
Right.
I go to subdivision and want to be laying on the ground. Hell, I take it home, drill a hole in it, put a 3/4, put a hose bib on it. Shit, I use the shell that thing. What happened was, I mean, after you get going, hell, you'll know who all the inspectors are, and you'll talk to them. I mean, you pretty much know who's in the subdivision. Well, the guy that I knew had called out sick, and they sent some other new guy from. We got Osceola, Seminole, in Orange County, and this guy was from Seminole, and it was